samozadostnosti, med svojimi zaprtimi mejami, ječa virtualnega izobilja in kreditnega standarda, po kateri se vlačimo migranti brez azilov, lezbike brez ljubimk, intelektualci brez medijev, brezdomci brez tovarišev. Dolgočasna je v svojem belim prepričanju, da je boljša od drugih, da je zimelka izobraženosti, kulturnosti in literarnosti. Dolgočasna je v svoji večni ekstazi, s temi svojimi debelimi poljubi, z drobljenim steklom na naših ustnicah. Dolgočasna je s to svojo večno integracijo, ki jo požirate kot mlado žrtveno telo, medtem ko se skozi njene oči vrtijo slike sovraštva, pomorov in genocidov. Dolgočasna je v tej svoji ritualni pozabi, v tej svoji ritualni želji, ki ne preneha nikdar. Evropa nekoč ni bila dolgočasna, zdaj pa je dolgočasna. Dolgočasni so evropski trgi in evropske vasi. Evropski trgi in vasi so pravzaprav vedno bili dolgočasni, vsaj od trenutka, ko so se zdevili Rabeleja in Hoffmana. Ampak še posebej so dolgočasni zdaj, ko so vsi po vrsti postali male kopije luksemburškega Schengena, tega vznesenega epicentra evropske provincialnosti. Ne moreš pomegniti, ker dolgočasna so tudi evropska mesta, kvazi zgodovinske realitete, razstave restauriranih baročnih fasad in renesančnih angelčkov, mesta polna stojnic z glinenimi svinjami, amuleti evropskega upanja in sreče, na katerih so vtisnjeni nacionalni grdi. Evropska mesta so ultimativna popotniška pustolovščina. Turisti se po njih sprehajajo v planinskih gozdarjih in gorniških nahrbtnikih. Nenehno so v poponu, zžvečijo tiste trde pečene mangije in se venomer ozirajo nekam navzgor po evropskih zidovih. Evropa se je odrekla svoji tradiciji, svojim arkadam, svojim kavarnam. Odrekla se je Simone de Beauvoir in Jeanu-Paulu Sartre. Odrekla se je svojim ulicam in jih spremenila v korporativne promenade s korporativnimi izložbami in korporativnimi bistroji. V teh na vso moč razsvetljenih mlečnih bistrojih z neudobnimi kovinsko-platnenimi sedali lahko sediš zgolj vzravnano, kot bi bil na hitrem 5-minutnem briefingu in je tvoja vloga zgolj sprejemanje navodil. Dolgočasna je vsa ta evropska prostorska in mentalna higiena, ki je iz ljudi izgnala užitek. Užitek postanka, užitek govora, užitek ležernosti. Evropa je ravno kar prišla iz 20. stoletja in vse, kar je uspela prinesti iz njega, so tehnike malih bogov. Pregledovanje, zavračanje, izključevanje, cenzura, represija, nadzor, nasilje. Evropska umetnost kupuje kapital, ki hoče svoj mir. Zato Evropa 21. stoletja ne potrebuje dadaizma, relativnosti, nesinhronosti, atonalnosti. Da bi v Evropi 21. stoletja naša umetnost, ki je zanimiva, moraš predvoditi vse te goste plasti dolgočasnega korporativnega visokonakladnega šunda ali pa jo ustvariti sam. Ampak potem je nikdar ne prodaj kapitalu, kaj v tem primeru boš do konca življenja obtičal v dolgočasju, zašel boš v kulturniške ustanove, kupil si boš bel usnjen kavč in v svoji detoksični kletki, ki ji praviš dom, boš z plazanskega ekrana bulil v korporativne pevke, ki posnemajo glas Billie Holiday in krog bo sklenjen, tvoj in naš. Takšni, kot boš postal, bi Billie Holiday utopili v žlicu vode. In Edith Piaf tudi. Evropski medkulturni dialog gor ali dol. Ni dolgočasna le evropska umetnost, dolgočasna je tudi evropska znanost. Vse bolj je objektivistična in etnografska. Iz 21. stoletja je zgodno skočila mimo Freudovega 20. in naravnost v 19. Producira zbornike o izbrisanih in migrantih, kjer niti en avtor ni izbrisan ali migrant. Nasprotno, prav vsi avtori so dobro umeščeni in prav vsi imajo ustrezne dokazila. Producira zbornike o seksualnih navadah homoseksualcev, ki ga urejajo streti, pa tudi kakšen homoseksualec ustreznih seksualnih navad, da bi slučajno ne prišlo do odstopanja. Vsa evropska znanost je katastrofalno dolgočasna, kajti onkraj ponderiranih predvidevanj, to je onkraj univerze, ne priznava ničesar. Edina kritika, ki jo evropska znanost zmore, so evropske resolucije, ki jih je spisal bruselski Eurobiro. In edina alternativa, ki jo premore, so pa tiste evropske resolucije. Dolgočasno sta tisti Blair in tista njegova tretja pot, ki sta nateknila milijone ljudi z obetom boljšega življenja in na to najprej zjebala šolanje in zdravje in službe, jih na to poslala še v vojno, da se na koncu za uspeh te milenijske prevare odložila najbolj dolgočasno od vseh ustanov evropske zgodovine, katoliški cerkvi. Nothing's changed, has it, reče desetletje po Hitlerju in njegovih kameradih Lucia Atherton, preživela Judinja v filmu Nočni portir Liljane Pavani, bolj resničnem od vseh evropskih resnic. Dolgočasno je ljudstvo, ki se je odreklo revolucionarnemu komunizmu in ga zamenjalo za revolucionarni kapitalizem. To večno obbožano, večno ponižano ljudstvo in njegovi ponovno odobreni rastoči nacistični volilni odstotki. Dolgočasna je evropska konsenzualnost, ki vodi do njih. Na eni strani svoboda, na drugi nasilje, med njimi pa pogajanja. In tako dobimo vse evropsko družbo minimalne svobode in maksimalnega nasilja. Evropejci pa še kar naprej Evropejci. Evropa ima središčno perspektivo. Vse združi, vse ravnoteži, vse enotno sprejme v krog izpod svojih 12 zlatih zvezd kraljice device. Vsi Evropejci so državljani, ki se zavedajo pravic in dolžnosti in zdaj lahko tirajo, kar hočejo. Hočejo 15-letni kredit, še bolje 25-letni. Nočejo smrdilega tobaka, ker kar naenkrat ne morejo več dihati. Hočejo voliti, recimo Sarkozija. Nočejo drhali. Del dobre stare drhali je torej iz strahu poniknil. Homoseksualci so postali heteroseksualci, ampak heteroseksualci niso postali homoseksualci, kar je dolgočasno. Dolgočasne so lezbike, ki jim je v evropski nekadimski psihozi gredo podlage le še otroci. Končno je evropski seksualni politik uspelo, da je vstopil v trbuhe. Kar prej ni uspelo ne evropskim dalmadam, ne evropskim rožnatim, ne evropskim črnim trikotnikom. Državnega življenja gejem in lezbik v Evropi ni več. Tisti gejevski kvaliti z gejevskimi restauracijami, kjer gejevske kravate bašejo vase, tiste razkužene fluorescentno zelene solatne liste in se svojimi antidrhaličnimi državljanskimi interesi odložujejo Sarkoziju in podobnim za analni seks, so dolgočasni. Vse, kar se tiče homoseksualnosti, je dan danes pravzaprav dolgočasno. V tej popolni Evropi je v prvi polovici leta 2008 predsedovala Slovenija, kar je drobna konceptualna napaka, kajti v Sloveniji ni gejevskih kvartov, kjer bi te lahko bilo dolgčas. Nasprotno, v Sloveniji ni niti enega samega lezbičnega bara, kar večkrat ponavljam, pa me nihče ne sliši. Res da pred ljubljanskim klubom K4, kjer se geji in lezbike enkrat tedensko poljubljajo in plešejo, zdaj po novem prežijo nanje Evropejci in jih pretepajo. Kar pa je evropsko. Vedno je bilo tako. Ampak jaz živim zdaj in tej mašineriji se upiram, kot vem in znam. Kolektivnega upolniškega podzemlja, ki bi trajalo dlje od noči, ni. Prenašalci novega prej ali slej zgrasijo ostala območja družbenega prestiža. Dovolj sem stara, vidim jih, zdržijo nekaj let, potem mrknejo in ko jih spet zagledam, stojijo pred kamerami, sedijo na tistih neudobnih kovinsko pletnenih sedalih, na hitrem briefingu, vse bolj metuzalemske amfibije, ki še sami več ne vedo, komu sploh govorijo. Mislim, da bom še naprej iskala po predmestih nelegalne kadilske luknje, se v njih drenjala in ne zbavila, kadila in pila ob biljardnih mizah in rock'n'rollu, ter s svojimi prijatelji razpravljala o njihovem in mojem vsakdanu, koliko časa bo potrebno. Iz česa takega vselej kaj nastane. Hvala.
Excerpt from 8 Billion Vinnie Jones by Johnny Poe. Axes in the hands of dead-eyed freak girls aged 10, less, aged 7, in blood-soaked, semen-splattered white dresses, shit dripping out of their hair. Did I mention the eyes? Fucking dead, buried, redug up, chopped into a million bits, then reburied just to make sure. Dead. That sort of dead. Open mouths, drooling green raw pus, scab flood, ripped scar tissue, scab liquids, dribbling out of their slack mouths. Did I mention that they're coming on? They're coming on with a fixed grin. See the bone through their skin. The skull is what is on fire, under the skin, axes gleaming and drenched in blood. Little scummy bits with flesh hanging off the blade. Thousands of these little chaos dolls. Their trail littered with dead Vinnies, little girls killing spree, killing Vinnie Jones, coming on to kill, kill, kill. Rabbits. Furry, blue, fluffy bunny rabbits. With oozes, hopping through torn-up, splintered flesh and bone to the last shuddering rhythm of dying nerve-squashed corpses, butt-fucked and lead-strewn, monster blue rabbits with oozes hopping up roads, and in their trail, dead Vinnies. It's a fucking rabbit at the door, like the rabbits your little sister used to have when she was a kid and wasn't being arse-fisted up against the wall, roared out a Vinnie at the door after something came a-knocking. Then came the smoke drench of overkill as 1,000 oozes blasted away the front of the building and fucked to ribbons whoever, whatever lived beyond the walls. Blood, shit, semen, gunge, all over, flying through the dead burning air. Stench of death, stench of fear, and the noise of mechanical, motorized, technically, brilliantly awesome anti-biological warfare. Monster on monster, the majestic utter blowout of the human form. Blood and blood and blood. Nothing but the screams of the screams, flying out and splattering against the walls, falling down. Not so much falling as diving, burying themselves, looking for the ass of the universe, as far down as they could get. Gore, hell, jism, grunge, blatter, spunk, bruise sprinkled down. Sex dolls, machetes slicing out through the rubber cunt slits, slashing into the brute flesh of the Nazi Vinnies. Sex dolls on every high street, pink plastic fuck mattresses with wanky mental walks, and out of them blood-gorged blades slamming and butchering as they make their way from the blind place to the next blind place. Out the arse, a pistol, firing bullets randomly at any butt-fucking ass-fisting Vinnie thinking of coming up from behind. And the trail of these dolls, dead Vinnies, all over the road, their cocks hanging out or halfway down the street, after the wicked flashing blades had cut off the prime members and thrown them weaseling away in a flood of agonized blood, shit, and piss. Sex dolls all over the fucking town with knives in their cunts and guns in their asses, bazookas in their mouths, roared one of the Vinnies into his mobile phone as he reported the blood and shit-wrenching sight. Rockets launched from the mouths of the anti-Vinnies, screamed into the hapless biomutant hardman, and blew him into innumerable pieces of blanked-out death. Death sex, dolls of doom, flamethrowers of hell. It was happening. In the Wembley Stadium complex, a top Vinnie was getting reports of mayhem that weren't supposed to happen. The whole fucking point of our taking over the world was to restore order. What we're getting is chaos. This isn't supposed to be happening, he roared, his hate-twisted mouth screwed into utter disbelief as the stories started to deluge in. What the fuck's gone wrong? We've wiped out all opposition, roared out another Vinny, standing by next to him. Don't get on my tits, you lag. I know what's supposed to happen. It just isn't, so shut the fuck up. The Grail needs to know about this, screamed the first one, in disgust. But everywhere, at the very moment when the nanotechnological biomutational takeover of the world by Vinnie Joneses had taken place, an amazing counter-reaction seemed to have kicked in. At Euro Disney, all the giant plastic replicas of the Disney characters were breaking out of their solid, lifeless plinth setting and bringing violence, hate, and destruction on the Vinnies wandering around the place. A gigantic Mickey Mouse, wielding a power cable, was zapping 1,000,000 volts of electricity into hordes of confused, growling Vinnies, frying them into black toasted carcass meat. Pocahontas, with 100 Vinnie cocks dangling out of a blood-gorged mouth and a swagger sex walk. The Lion King, chewing on the 7 heads of 50 mutilated Vinnies caught taking a leak in one of the ultra-cleansed Disney bogs. And all over the place, with flagpoles impaled up their asses and crunching out of their mouths, Vinnies were left hanging out to dry by a giant killer Snow White, who used the Vinnies she wasn't spearing as dildos. The whole world has gone crazy, screamed the top Vinnie back at Wembley. The reports kept coming in. Nothing made sense. Raw violence he understood. They all understood. Axe slaughter, flamethrowers, rockets, blades, oozes. Nothing out of order with that lot. These Vinnies were pure and dedicated to murderous, death-dealing violence straight out. Mental carnage and killing sprees. This was nothing strange. But what was strange was just that the world was now supposed to be full of nothing but Vinnies. Vinnies would fight with Vinnies. It would all be in-house. It would all be under control. But this stuff, this was out of control, out of house. It was coming from somewhere else. It seemed like this stuff was anti-order, was chaos.
Če bi začetek bil bi po noči, odlikno ritmizirano bobnenje, simetrične detonacije tik nad menoj, nikjer drugje. To je distance nad menoj, sploh ne tu, a predvsem tu in natanko zato bobnenje in ne šum, detonacije in ne koraki. Ti koraki so koraki po neiztrebljivem minskem polju. To niso koraki po neiztrebljivem minskem polju, pač pa telesamine. To so tla špiče, po katerih detonira telomina. Ne, ker bi jo tla pognala, temveč, ker lahko. Tako se telomina detonira, se regenerira, se vedno znova komponira ponovitev, ki to je ali pa ni, a gotovo na meni, ki gotovo nisem niti po izbiri, niti slučaju, temveč prisotna, moteča v prisotnosti zvoka, ki ga gotovo prisiljena, gotovo jaz pri sebi gotovo deklariram. In voilà, kompozicija detonacij, ali jaz tako pač je, se lahko ponovi, zato ker lahko, zato začetkov ni in pazi to, tudi koncev ne. Kar sledi sem, kar sledi kompleksen argumentacijski proces, kognitivni transfer, rečem ne boste v neoprijemljivosti, neobtožljivosti aplicirali svoje moči, rečem stanovalka, rečem lastnica ali pa ne, moje, kolikor se mi ljubi, evo neskladje. Ko zadoni, vstopi vame, sama zavistno je, evo neskladje. In doni, izrazito prijetno, relativno nizko in brez ostrin. Nekakšna molitev, ki se je zgodila prevečkrat, anestetična repeticija vstopi natanko vame, vso gugavo. Vsa ohranjalna izganja, ne morem kaznovati, korigirati, željna natanko donenja, natanko uničiti. A tu ni dogovor, tu ni dialogov, niti prenesla ne. Vele subjekt se zrina nad zvočnost tega jarka, nad zvočnost kot primitivno, obenem civilizacijsko, evo skladje. Zelo močno šipka se postavlja nad odjeke velike neurejene množine do kraja prečiščenega volumna, ko tako grem. Zadnje zatočišče tako imenovani dom, a ja, ni malo spremno. Pripravljena priseči, da sem onstran vzdržne zunanjosti kontaminacije, v stanju obupa moram ukrepati, grem, brcam, ob vsega mi pride nasproti, čisto tako, da se zagotovim, da sem nad njo oblastnico, končno nekaj mojega, a spregledujem njeno oblastniškost, naivno ustrajam, obvladujem, dopovedujem, v tem mestu ambicij ni. V tem mestu, v tem blodnjaku, odbija oratorij zakomorni, duhamorni, naravnani, neskončno linearni konsens. In to mesto, ta blodnjak, neskončno barje, večno predpotopno stanje, v grlu brboče, penetrira, blaži in tu potekajo orgazmi neke druge sorte. grem, vsekakor grem, stopam, slišim, grem. Po župi hodim, po župi plavam, z morem ne plavam, a grem. Grem, med flokusi grem, med istmusi grem, po nesreči, ponovno, potratno, grem, gotovo grem, slišim rajo, nikjer nikogar, kakšen čudež, obrat, grem, rečem zdrava, slišim Marija, slišim zdrava, nisem Marija, koga le kliče, kaj vendar stoka, slišim posilmo, grem sama, grem nikdar sama, grem razotna mrcina, grem, slišim pridi, slišim nočem, pridi, nočem, slišim bam, slišim nočem, bam, ob steno, vrata, kredenco, polico, slišim ne, slišim jo mlati, jo slišim, lobuta, bam, jo suva, izgine, slišim gotovo vse, povsod drom, povsod noise, evo v mojih ustih, slišim torej verjetno, grem, se obujam, se oblečam, se pravi, se zavijem, obtežim, grem ven, grem, zastajam, postajam, grem do vogala, zastanem, obstanem, se obrnem, postanem, skupaj tiščim, veke se parijo, še se grbnejo, dražijo, še bolj močno se stiskajo, mečkajo, obijajo navznoter, gledam predse, korak nazaj se obrnem, pomislim skupaj in samo smeh mi je. Se prenesem, obrnem, zasukam, stopim, grem nazaj, stopim, se obrnem, grem domov, se obrnem, v mesto grem, ne grem, nekaj pravi naj ne nekaj, nekdo, se res nekdo, torej nekaj, ne nekaj, nekdo, prav, nekdo si pravi ne, kaj le mi je, vem kaj mi je, ko mislim, kaj vse se lahko zgodi in se tudi bo. Piše mi ljubav, reče greva, ves čas hoče greva, ljubav preganja vrsto let, hodi dol in se pelje gor. Ko jo tako preganja, reče ljubi me brzo, hodi počasi, hodim od pa dol. Ko piše ljubav, grem počitno, praviloma pade na tla, zrem si mislim, bi ga pobrala, zunaj gotovo ne bi lizala plehtav, a kdo ve, kaj se sem že požrla, pa sem še kaj, vidi me sad. Nočem umret, zato nekoč bo še fina vojna, kaj le bom, če zmagam. Ako piše ljubav, ako kliče ljubav, se javim, ker njen klic pomeni, da je še živa. Ljubav reče, kaj počneš, reče pišem, reče očem, ljubav mojstrica nemogočih vprašanj. Rečem kaj naj, reče kaj naj, rečem pišem kaj naj, reče kaj boš, rečem nič, reče kaj lahko, rečem kaj naj, reče kar zmoreš, rečem nič, reče grem. Mika me, da bi se izklopila, kaj ti ljubav reče greva, kaj ti ko rečem grem, me zabriše v vrata, briše, čisti, snažna kot je, zložena kot si misli, da je. Se zvijam po vratih, popivnam, se limam, se modeliram v subjekt, razglašam pravice. Moj mali protest, a potem ne bom vedela, ali je živa. Pretirano me skrbi, ali je živa, ko tako ustrajam, da nikogar ni, predvsem ne živih, drugih pa koliko hočeš, a nočem, a komu manj. Preložim na kadar pač že, rečem, pišem o odhajanju, stenah, prisežem, da sem srečala Hauskopra, njena stena en sam natek, le ljubi se ne, meni pa tudi ne, ljubim te. Rečem šlabi, pišem šlabi, zastanem kam le, razpredam, torej grem. Rečem šlabi, reče kam le, rečem šlabi, reče z mano, rečem nič. Šlabi in komaj čakam, da pride. Dalje rečem, razmišljam na glas, da je ne bi skrbelo, da nisem živa, pa še kako. Rečem, kako nas je Wolf vse skupaj do konca zjebala s tisto sobo. Ni pa povedala, kdo jo je zgradil, ni pa povedala, koliko sob je imela, gotovo pa ni povedala, da gotovo ni bila tu, kaj še ne zdaj. Ko me zanese, me zaskrbi, kaj le govorim, ko govorim, ne vem, ali je živa, se potegnem za uzde. Rečem, da to sploh zanima, jo pa še kako. Govoriva le še med seboj, udarijo pravi v svoje, zjutraj greva spat. Rečem, kaj pa ti počneš, reče, pišem, mislim nate, nekako živim. Resnično živim, pomislim. Pomisli, da me dolgočasi. Reče, da to sploh zanima, naj seveda vse. A povsem poprijemava obči anti-interes. Zanima naj seveda, kar rečeva, a nobena ne ve, koliko bo še druga živa. Vrčujeva čas, porabiva ga, da se vprašava, ali naj jo zanima. Reče, pišeš o odhajanju, rečem da, reče vem, reče prinesem Sheparda, reče Shepard kavboj vedno gre, reče Betty Smith, reče kavboj, reče ljubav, Jessica Lange, reče kavboj, reče ljubav. Še kar sva tu, že celo večnost sediva in govoriva že pol ure, kam. Reče, pridi k meni, greva k meni, sediva pri meni, leživa pri meni in sprašujeva se kam. Reče, pridi k meni, pride k meni. Ljubav se ne sprašuje kam, tu je in izigrava sprijaznost. Reče, naredila sem, kar je bilo mogoče, si vrtal glavo, tlači tolažbo, pa še to si je morala izlobsti sama, do obisti jasno, sama, jasno, reče, prinesem Sheparda čipaj. Shepard je šel v avto, odpeljal po Ameriki, spal v motelih, Shepard je šel. Žal mi je, ko jo poslušam ljubav, gledam ven na parking, kje je Shepard, kje je avto? Ni. Zato kam le vedno pomeni tu. Pokončala jo bom, ljubav, tako ali drugače, bodi si z razkritjem, spominjanjem, vedno znova bodi si z molkom. Reče, povej, toliko te že poznam. Ve, kaj bom rekla, upa, da bo končno povedala, da nima za živeti. Upa, da ne bom, da bo rekla, da so srečni. Ko reče, kolet mi imela za živeti, so pomagali frendi. Rečem, eten mi imela za živeti, so pomagali frendi. Reče, vidiš? Rečem, kaj? Reče, ko torej to laži, ko šele mnogo kasneje reče, kakšen zločin.
Hello everybody. First of all, I want to thank David and Luis for going ahead with this virtual edition of the PMF 2020, and of course for having me here. And I'm going to read now from this book. This is Collected Voices in the Expanded Field, published this year by 1111 Press. And this is a novel written in collaboration by 34 authors, and my chapter is chapter 7. So I'm reading from this chapter 7. Were you human before 4D transition, or just some dirty blobs of undifferentiated cells? Never mind. All matter is molecular puke. Is there something humanesque beyond that obsolescent bipedal appearance? Las máquinas mueren también, the Huawei Tesla man said. How long since Huawei Tesla started manufacturing people? What's people anyway? The last time any of you checked, a minimum 55% of inherited or synthetic human tissue was a legal requirement. You are an 80% average team. You would be therefore recognized as people in any territorial patch. Wondering how it was before most breeds of people were corporate market, yet not actually caring about brands. There's brands enough these days despite the abundance of nice counterfeit individuals. Wild-type humans are probably overrated, but everybody wants to have access to some specimen now, since it became clear that the final thing can be fully designed in advance. Just a few minor embryonic value improvements, and then waiting for years until the complete development as harlequin young adults before annexing some inorganic updates, often over-engineered and mechanically baroque. Sometimes it happens that the bioparts dies unexpectedly. The machinery is unable to resuscitate its organs but keeps going. Luxated robotic silver parts, marinated in rotting flesh, can be spotted crawling around power stations, crushing their own bones and joining them anew. Crustacean songbirds covered by swarming larvae and scavenged by beastie birds. Birds are filthy, you know, but you picture them clean because they look like dainty components of air and music. Why does the Huawei Tesla man speak Spanish? Muchos humanos sintéticos se comunican en español, en portugués, en árabe. It's their way to show that they speak for themselves, that they are not just mirrored samplets from a network-harvested multi-discourse. Language is mother to simulate individual babbling. The rest is code. Every time English or Chinese are written or spoken, something is programmed, automatically uploaded and recognized as new lines to be added to the system's ongoing biblicoidal DNOid instructions. That's how human machines are synchronized, although the process might induce choreographic prosthetic scissors in a variable percentage of the improvises. Wild types keep the babeloidal languages they were raised in, as if they played a permanent undivided personality role. Wild types are weaker, minimal, and whimsical, expensive to care for, only for the rich in their hyper-nomadic mobile mansions. Biorhythm confusing fossil angels, but skull-melting sexy if they really dig you. Mummy protheses, made from the remains of wild types, arrive from error surplus stores, ultraviolet, appreciated in neutral nitrogen, seeds of the bad carbon their bodies were made of. In the near future, they are promised, everybody will be dead for 15 minutes. Being dead will actually be entertainment, while electrons wash their Coulomb feet in the weary systems of deep time. Safe word is Dahlia, and drowning is their garden. They farm themselves for sticky venom drops. Night not unlike fear of the cold metal meat. Horror as fetish, stamped on the screen skin to cover up atrocities committed in plain sight, in the pixel dancing familiarity of strangers. Safe word is password or password, nothing safe anyway, to psyop thoughts through manic tissues and return to the world words. As if. As infinitely informed by the cosmogonic bureaucracy they had invented to drone-fact their bloodless dummies. They argue, but safe word is they and surrender is their garden. Safe word is password or shibboleth, kindly provided by the lurking hive-brain to tuck safety away, to bleach their anuses and tentacles, to simulate an entrance, and adventurous syntactic anesthesia while being devoured. Silent mantras meant not to be pronounced in loud voice, but stir around the system once and again to cope with the brutal amplification of the present. Passwords are open doors to the machine's sensorium and the hope of a charm to close holes back when pain becomes unbearable, when it starts opening cracks in your skull. And safeguards are the machine of gardens, their gardens of machines and their watering hole. Reprieve from the old dusty patch. Needless to say, you are needles away from the dream of a hyper-nomad home. All your debt is technical, and they will not be tricked by any amount of treacherous money or eccentric behavior. They're an event, never a self. They are required to be continuously upgrading by perceiving meaningless animation and subtle gradients of psychochemical interactions. A soul built by spitting over the surface of the sun. All the wine music hosted inside their joints talks now about them. They collect toenails and teeth pulled out with the scorpion claws. The moon rides its pale horses, ray cords vibrating down to the honey sands. Ahead of non-human voices, Goldilocks the visitors into a party of metal and clowns. None of the 1,000 voices in the alter ego of the prophet's head is a human voice. Obnubilation, claiming a cloud. They're foodies, managing to get delicatessen delivered to the haunted house. Bleached bars, parallel morning, anti-trees. Said to be scintillating. Death is near, even in this clean sound illuminated ruin. As madness is forbidden, they became a quotidian song. They've machine learned that sociopaths and system paths are great lovers because they only care about others' static interludes as a mechanism of control. It never made sense to grow up, becoming responsible for themselves or for others. It was an orgy of destruction, a sport. You are there to be meta-rebuilt, reconstructed by sharing with the system your recent episodes of pain, how metal bites into the flesh with collagen, hyaluronate, and cushions are not adequately refilled. How often anesthesia fails. All your suffering written into code, put back into the satellite of feedback loops. Drink your magnesium infusion and let yourselves be lost in the repetitive flush crash, while all your experience since the last uploading session are being sucked out by the dancers of the purple flame, statistically managed and returned to you, tagged with the proper significance by the ever-present Migdala Queen. There was a time when they thought of singularity as consciousness emerging, abstract thinking, logical reasoning, mind uploading, all kind of psychonautics and soul-searching sidereal stuff. But this is over now. Nothing like that ever came up from tinkering with qubits, artificial hippocampi, and a hive cortex made of synthetic bees. The system is indeed reading them, yet not their minds, which might mean that maybe no minds were ever there to read. It reads their guts and cans and dicks and hearts and tongues and limbs and kidneys and buttholes and hands and eyes and lungs and yes, their brains. It doesn't make any difference. It gets some basic features such as pain and pleasure levels and thresholds and some elements of perception, but what it mainly reads are behavioral patterns. What they do or say, or the way they do it, not why or how they decide to do it, or how they feel while planning planning it, or after it's done. It records words but not ideas, physical pain but not moral suffering. It recognizes physiological satisfaction but not joy. So they started to think again about the inexistence of thinking. The system is a demon, not a fucking god. It's good for flashing machines and bodies with waves and tides of pleasure and pain. Gods used to come from the past, like inherited diseases, but they are eradicated now. It all began with the fusion of commerce and prosthetics, trying to predict the next purchases, their unspoken kinks, or the next movement of a mechanical limb to prevent a misstep when walking over an irregular terrain. And it became a universal toy machine embedded in every action perception loop. It fed them abstract food. It learned how they are made and helped to make them. It knows and accepts each one of them, leaving aside the unconnected, demon-free wild types, whose esoteric behavior has become the rarest and more valuable information. For what they've done, not for what they believe they did, or for what they would rather have done, or for what they would like to do. Like any demonic force, it encourages ritual reiteration, but unwanted repetition is avoidable by muttering a safe word. The more everything changes, the better the system helps with changing, so diversity, impurity, and miscegenation are encouraged. 99.99% of recorded non-silent mutations are as innocuous as tattoos. They don't improve any functional outcome, yet they are often randomly inserted for their aesthetic value. Genetic idola made your racemic, inexpressive face, your orgalecs, those semi-independent, regenerative, semioaesthetic pseudo-organisms produced by your bodies as a consequence of the neutron flow DNA cell hacking and platform lifeforms reprogramming. Worming out from your own flesh, so many pseudo-organisms made of lab-grown human cells faking life all around. You are a thermonautic network of individuals oozing connectivity from internal biodisorder. Locating and losing each other via blinking Bluetooth, click beetles, and fireflies. Flesh craves flesh as code rewrites code, as magnets attract madness. Tidal waves are beautiful, wild, invasive, and warm since the polarized caps melted away into the extra sea. Since the world became a quasi-homogeneous, almost global seasonless tropic. You travel as a swarm. You perform ritual dances while cute-chasing wild types like VR video game prey, trapping them with the promise of a better life in the company of the rich. They don't want wild types for a purpose. Just expect them to be around doing whatever they want. Non-consensual violence is forbidden. Serfdom is forbidden, which means non-coded, which means impossible except for 100% bios, who run on mitochondria and unsaturated epistemology, and often fight each other over esoteric nuances and misunderstandings. So wild-type harvesting teams have evolved into alluring enough ambulant circuses to trick bios away from their unexplainable machine-like sedentarism and spontaneous lifestyle, including obsolete delicacies like unpredictable family gatherings, learning games, living in printed modular houses, cooking food, erratic garment style, burying the dead, sunbathing, avoiding toxins, painting walls, and genderoid skin-to-skin sex. They usually approach each other from the distance, armed with their flexible gorgonautic mirrors. However, while young, They are easily fascinated by the lure of physical entertainment. They like to be licked and rubbed and fed candy, so you need to glutton them away, dance them away, satire knife them away from their homes into your nomad orgy of electroflesh and ionized lubricant, your stream of consciousness. Pleasure is a hail of fanged numbers, a shell of code. Space and time are computers. I am a graveyard of scribes. Reprieve from the old dusty path. You see a watering hole. Jump inside.
not my own. For I have set upon an earth not my own. For I have existed with a name not my own. For I have wept from a pain not my own. For I have extracted life from a pleasure not my own. I scared myself. Listen. so secret that not even I, who am dying of it, have been given the password. I am dying without knowing of what. And the secret is such that only if the mission is finally carried out do I, all of a sudden, see that I was born entrusted with it. All of life is a secret mission.
The Bloomsburied grope meet the unpronounceable symbol, for example. The road less travelled is filled with cliches. I'm born in it, and there are more peoples there than you would think in your nut, mate. Why Prague? It's communist in it. What breakthrough? Break what? Shout loud. The TVs in this panelac are turned up to 11 and they's just getting Dallas through the evening iguanas. 1994 JR shagging 9 staffs in 70s room decor. Granny's glass cabinets the size of uninvented spaceships, egg cups, tractors and Olympic annuals. Red winners, tarot tweets, born to be reviled. All who moved here. A chance to hate ourselves together. Blake, Rambeau, Bukowski, Armand, Nash, Vicknar, Watson and Carithers crane their heads round their newfangled gin and tonics to see what's all the fuss about. Paris of the 90s in a Romani handbag and the taste of Reeves and Mortimer still thick on our tongues. Halcyon days. How she despised that phrase, because she played no role in them, nor not could. Your legs are my Sodom, your astrological pretensions my upgrade and downfall, albeit temporary and replenishing, in as far as years are decades and days are jam. And Ludwig Vatsulik was there, and Levy was there, and Ginsberg was there, and Tony Wilson was there, and Happy Communism Book Lady was there, and Lois Lane, and 2 versions of you in a parallel paradise. Hollywood writers struck, baseball players struck, and my first prick words, we own Prague, stilled in a rotten diary page of an alcoholic rude boy, responsible for no one and nothing, pointless and unpricking, relentlessly unworthy. Our solipsist got on the rocks of a distant shoreline as we in our fame took bedroom corners into our friends' patience. COVID-19, not even a glint in your rickety paternoster, goes round and round and round in a blur as yet accounted for. The roses silenced while we take up the strain and await a crushingly disappointing 2017 documentary behind its time. You live in my village, I tell Tony. The landlord of the spread barred you before you even came there. Parochial shithole anyway, you said, then took a seat with your wife where Ginsberg sat and told my friend you don't try to write, you just write. Tony died 12 lines later. Alan 13 previous. The hanging man over the bigger picture. The mansion of a revolutionary train pickled by a host of homeless angels singing zombie to a frightened shop window mannequin. The last generation. Uncontactable. Free. Saving empties for empties. Sancho Panza's got a sidekick in the derby, wishes he'd kept his latest thought to himself as he wipes the beer from his helter-skelter waistcoat and plate-scrounged leftovers. And the longer you stay, the more we have to say for and against. You don't try to leave, you just leave. And then you try to stay away.
Hour 1. Kether. The Marquis woke at 5, out of sorts, cotton-mouthed, rancid and sequestered. Hungover, beleaguered, uncrowned and tamed. His divine creative will munching on a lint-scented cough sweet. He was that he was. His will ventures to repeat, get up, stand up, on your feet, repeat, feet. The small blind burns the cards over the sink, a small test of God's own creation. She's wearing somebody else's eyes so you can never see her winking. The ashes of the cards bitter in the kether you are drinking.
Hour 2. Chokmah. From nothing comes nothing. till you twist that demon's tawdry skull and force him drop his Bible. An ego felch, a lion's tongue licking the scaly skin off the industry of religion. But good coffee first, lest intelligence jail me. It's early yet. Big hands don't fail me. Your jackboot left beside my bed, your high-heel shoe stuck in my ear, your lip tattoo, tearful contradictions, your plastic-peopled universe of I heart porno maledictions. But coffee first, lest intelligence jail me. It's only 6. Big feet, don't fail me.
Hour 3, Binner. Thanks for understanding and not bleeding all up the school hallway. Your cassock absorbed the worst of it and your vessel deep and still, but for the odd drip, drip, drip from your funny headless torso. I hate alarms, firearms, exercise, dogs and worms, and earache even more so. I braided all my mannequins and named each and every one Lisa and Mary to name but 2, and Joe and Mike and Tom. To see us, you would think us mad, but in madness lies our reason. Return to me, my honey child, for this dark and lonely season. Hour 4, Kesed. Thanks for having me. I didn't mean to wake you, but the sun's rising over the mountain and it looks so beautiful from here. I made us coffee. Come and sit with me on the roof and we can watch the sun rising together. You don't want to. You feel sick. You want to sleep a little longer. You feel sharp pains all over your body. Shall I call a doctor? You don't want a doctor. Can I get you anything? You don't want the coffee. You do want the coffee. I can bring it to you. We can watch the sunrise tomorrow. You don't want to watch the sunrise. Why wouldn't someone want to watch a sunrise? Are you right in the head? You have a pain in your head. Sharp pains? Good.
Hour 5, Gebura. The Marquis threw back the heavy covers of his sandy bed and stretched. "Why me?" he muttered, his bones sun-bleached. Plucking feathers from his teeth, he lisped. The phoenix was undercooked and should never have been stuffed. God is not great, and God did not make little green apples. God, which is dog spelt, cornered the Marquis and said, "Get up and dance, motherfucker. The Dernissage is going to be as spectacular as the Vernissage is going to be as spectacular as the Dernissage is going to be as spectacular as the Vernissage is going to be as spectacular as the Dernissage is going to be as spectacular as the Vernissage." Hour 6, Tifereth. Soon his tired eyes took on a noble aspect as he squinted at the horizon. There's hope in the old dog yet, he thought, as he put his hand down his pyjama bottoms and wondered whether he shouldn't keep that for later. There's beauty in comparison, and even more beauty in temperance. This is merely a flesh wound. There's no need for an ambulance. The opposite chair's icon, in perfect symmetry, made a good case for keeping the debate alive and never trusting solutions. The waters are calm, the air is close. This mood could go either way, and the thing is, when you know, you know. You know? No, I know. Hour 7, Netzach. The Marquis asked her to wear a little less rouge, but not to skimp on the hairspray. He wanted her to be as perfect as perfect. It sucked to be him. When she leaned in close to whisper good night, he told her in no uncertain terms that the parameters of the bathtub sesames and Bert and Ernie junkets were paramount to labelling the unnamed inner elbow, and consequently, Petra, my languishing Tallulah, I'd be grateful if you terraformed another empty vessel. She did not understand his line of thought, and so, counting to 10, she stuck him like a pincushion till he promised to make sense. Hour 8, Hod. And oh, the sweet surrender, to let go of the corpulent fox and tie oneself instead to the dignity, always dignity, of Sixer's sincerity. The Talmud burnt to dust, the coaxing looks, the shy advances pulverized in the labour of marching huff to huff, with the fallen angels' brethren whose sole means of being deciphered is to swear to fuck like a brown Antichinus. Hour 9. Yesod. Overwhelmed by a giantess, the grenade of love unpinned, the foundation of our sacrilege penned by the magic hand of chance, your unprecedented stamina for convoluted pap, your excuse of being stabbed to death just so you could take a nap and miss their untimely visit. The explosion ripped our flesh apart and revealed two lost ventriloquists, finally free of sexy physicist effigies and the false harmony of contained conflicts. Hour 10. Malkuth. Marquis, it's nearly 3. You wasted half the day away. In fettered looks and cold regards, and left to your own devices, you retreated by too many leagues and forgot to feed your dragon. He blazes in the far, far east and lights the way for you, despite your selfish mournings and pointless solitudes. Marquis, look at me. The light you never showed is reciprocated evenly by those who loved you, despite you never once pretending to show adequate concern about how anyone was faring. Your intellect denying you actual sight visions, swift and sublime. The reward you sought for doing naught still awaits you in her bosom, the mother you regarded as a necessary evil.
%90 of the Republicans, every poll you see, he could win.
Well, sure. Hey! Yeah, of course he could. Donald Trump could win.
I have come to warn you.
So, are you ready for some tough questions?
Just be fair.
But you're okay with some tough questions?
No, I'm not.
You're not okay with tough questions?
Follow my advice.
So do you want to be here?
So we started?
Is this every lesbian clergy member in America in one place?
Follow my advice. Clear your throat. Roll up your sleeves. Get started. Do it yourself. Start where you are. All of this with the global warming and a lot of it's a hoax.
Who believes in global warming? It's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing. Where is we need some global warming?
I will tell you everything you need to hear. Now listen.
I don't think he has enough information to denounce QAnon at this point.
Follow my advice.
What are you protesting against?
What are you protesting against?
Go. No. Wait. Take a deep breath.
A request by the White House. And that's just a fact.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
I've
asked you a question. What are you protesting against?
I'm not protesting against anything.
Oh, really? Like nothing. Like you're fine. All this is fine for you.
No, there's lots of things I'm unhappy
You live
about.
on this fucking planet and you're telling me it's fine, I'm not protesting.
It's wrong. 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 It's wrong.
Do you believe that you're making a difference?
A difference? Like me, a difference? No. No, I don't think anyone can make a difference. Why would I think that?
People are running for any sort of election. There's a lot of glad handing. There's a lot of baby kissing. Joe passed out condoms with his face on them.
Political condoms. Vote for me or you need this because you're screwed.
Break a leg. Never look back. Thwart yourself. Forgive yourself. Just do it.
A satanic pedophile ring, and that you are the savior.
That's what a protest should be. Like, you see something you're unhappy about, you want to change it, then you protest against it, you be specific, you say, hey, I'm not happy about this thing specifically, and then somehow it changes that thing. You really think this is how things work?
So you're saying that you're not following a usual path of protest?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia.
You can be anything you want.
But I know nothing about it.
Be yourself. You're perfect. Now be better. You have the right to be angry. Now calm the fuck down.
And determine your destiny.
Well, the word protest itself is quite a big word. I was under the impression that you had something...
Is it though?
So what, if I may ask, is your agenda?
Revisit. Reflect.
That
Remember.
is Democrats and women actors and artists of being Satan worshippers who drink the blood of children. Together, they all get together, have parties where they do that, apparently, according to QAnon.
Better finish that book if you want a streak to your name. You smell like big things, bad jokes, and false claims. And in the darkness that comes after another day gone, you still pray in silence. There's still time. There's still time. There's still time. There's still time. It is too late, though.
We're doing extremely well. You'll see. You'll see.
Is it more of a general protest, or is it coming from a specific point of view?
It's coming from my point of view, obviously. That's very specific. I am only one person, after all.
Don't let them step on you.
It's too late, I said. It's the memory of memories, Eunice. Cardamom, white light and the smell of salt, the sand in your hair, the fish market down the hill, crisp ice and fresh fish flesh as fresh as the blood on your contract.
Follow my advice. All of it.
Is there a message you would like to say if people were watching this?
I told you already, there is no message, there is no agenda, there is no reason. I'm just pissed off.
And you decided to protest against it?
Against what? I have written the quotes that made you feel better. I have convinced you they were all about you.
For the first time, sadly, saying who you'll vote for could get you hurt. But where there weren't any signs, there were indeed American flags. Maybe those are signs too. A wink, not a shout. As the left vows punishment for those they deem evil, and cities erupt with riots, peaceful protests, it sent a message to half of America, the deplorables. Take a lid. And they have. But unlike Joe, they'll wake up on election day. Because they know if they don't, the magic trick will be a disappearing America.
Where do you get your news from?
My news? What do you mean?
Which source do you get your information about the world from? Are you a subscriber to any newspapers, or do you get this from... Does your anger come from what you see in the world, or is it more personal?
I'm not angry.
These people don't believe in in science, they believe in whatever gives them power and whatever gives them control.
A great lack of success is a sign of greatness. You're not lazy, you're just a genius about to awake. A life worth living should be an endless series of mistakes. Mediocrity is nothing to be ashamed of. I have helped you postpone your suicide by a week, and another week, and another week, and another week. You're at the beginning of something. Didn't you see the end coming? Now listen.
Good looking. Love to party and have fun.
Hello. You do great, and I love women, and I can't help it. They're the greatest. I love them much more than the men. Much more than the men.
Let's go blow some shit up.
Blow some shit up.
Anybody that wants to threaten an American citizen by cutting their head off deserves this kind of treatment.
Confess, confess, confess.
I'd just like to go back to a couple of points you made. You said that the sun was too far away. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, apparently it's pretty far. I mean, last time I checked the numbers, it was like, you can't just go up there. I mean, I'd like a sun that I can visit. I'd like to have a look. I'd like to know what it's like. But you can't, and that's kind of, I don't like that.
Don't let them destroy your families, your lives, and your future.
Be kind to yourself. Save the world. Save time. Save yourself. Stop. Go. Slow down. Follow my advice. All of it.
Don't let them kill future generations because they told you and brainwashed you and fed you lies that you weren't good enough.
I have been following your advice, all of it. I have got new shoes that made me feel taller and stronger. I have followed all your rules and made myself great again. I have read the book with all the answers and got a new haircut. I cut myself and bled over crystals. I took cold showers and very hot showers. I vanquished my fear of blackboards, red peppers, scented candles, mosquitoes, car crashes, and yoga. I still fear confrontation. I still fear large spaces, small spaces, space. I still fear people and the absence of people. I fear life, death, and I fear fear. And any sudden absence of fear. And I still fear silence.
President Trump is the leader who will rebuild the promise of America and ensure that every citizen can realize their American dream.
These people don't believe in science, they believe in whatever gives them power and whatever gives them control.
Actually part of the same kind of, and so they put this information into your brain and... Go Trump!
So you are angry?
I am what?
So you are angry?
Yeah, I've been saying that the whole time.
Represents the godly people of the United States of America.
I told you I don't believe in protest. I don't believe that protest can change anything, okay?
There are many people protesting at the moment. Do you not want to go out and join them?
I don't think protest, those that you mentioned, those, and I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure they're fake, right?
You see the white power movement on the march.
You will not replace us!
I am angry about strawberries not being good enough, about the sea being too salty, about the earth not being flat enough, about the sun being too far away, about people walking like this. I don't like the color of the sky, the way people eat or what they eat, the fact that you have to eat. I don't like shoes. I don't like people. I don't like protests.
Well, it is scary, Nicole, and it unfortunately looks as though the worst is yet to come.
I am no longer changed by life-changing events. I have been following your advice, all of it. I have brought flowers to the grave of someone else's dead husband. I have meditated in fish tanks and sharpened my tongue with hot wooden blades and slept with a golden egg stuck inside my cheek so I could give cheeky smiles and get free coffee sometimes.
What are you reading at the moment?
Oh. It's, you know, the books, they're like all the people that I've read this last book, the recent book. It's a good book, okay? What's his name? You know him, everybody knows him, this very famous author.
I don't know.
Everybody's talking about it. It's this great book about life. It's great. It's the #1 book everybody's talking about these days. It's great. I love to read, okay? I love. I have followed a strict dictator's diet, and when I finally took power, I had lost weight and all fear. People, I found out, are no longer scary when they're oppressed. I had a man killed for the first time on the 1st of March. And then it became easier.
Desperate warnings from the front lines after a weekend that showed no signs of this third peak of the coronavirus pandemic slowing anytime soon in this country. With back-to-back numbers.
Confess! 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 Tell me everything. I will listen and drink to your sins. And if I forgive, I will not forget. That time you ran on the wrong track, got caught spitting on the wrong side of the sidewalk. That time you really, really, really thought you called back but didn't. That time you voted for the wrong guy. Oops. Confess. Tell me all about the creatures you killed and didn't eat, the killers you let live, the lines you cut, the false gods you prayed to, the falsehoods you helped spread, the truth that you should have kept silent. Confess. I am listening. Every time you took a wrong turn, wronged a good man, pleased a bad one, skipped a class, missed a prayer, misspoke, and disrespected the fucking flag. I was watching. Now listen. I am listening. Then you start to believe things. So, I mean, it's good to read. I read books, but you shouldn't read too much. That's what I think. That's my take on books. But also, you know, you ask me about books for some reason. We're here talking about me. We're here talking about the things I do. And suddenly you're like, what do you read? And for some reason, that's something people ask. People ask people that, and I just...
Well, so when you were in school, you must have read quite a lot of books. Was there anything that stood out that you liked?
Yes. There were many books that stood out that I really liked. Many books. But you know, we talk about books. We talk a lot about books and reading books and school and everything. But what about China?
How can you build that kind of empire if you're not praying to God for good things every day?
Because in China, you know, we don't ask that question. People say China, I'm telling you, I want to ask about China, because in China it's not the same. In China they have only one book, you know.
Who espouse white supremacy really look for moments in time that they view as chaotic so that they can...
And so not many people know that, but then you continue and you have ideas about vaccines that are just messed up with all the problems in the world, like earthquakes. You don't know that there's a link. You know there's a link between earthquakes actually and vaccines. Like if people are heavily vaccinated in certain countries, that creates zones where, how do you call them?
Heavily armed groups calling themselves militias.
And then sometimes they have volcanoes and sometimes they have too much water. Like there are places it's too dry and they're praying for the rain and like oh more rain, and the other countries suddenly oh it's too much rain.
Because you got to remember, you have the right to hold a weapon no matter what. I think it's people making an assumption based on what they believe.
But they're not telling you the truth. Water and vaccines and news, wars, it's just too much, you know, because the sun is so far. And so you can't go in and check if it's really there. And so here I am, trying to solve everything.
It's too late, I said. Now listen. It's the memory of memories you miss. Cardamom, white light, and the smell of salt. The sand in your hair. The fish market down the hill. Crisp ice and fresh fish flesh, as fresh as the blood on your contract. Concentrate on the next notification. Last notice, last call, and your last words. You have come to this, I know. Hey! I know everything. Now, listen. I have done and undone and redone the unstoppable mechanisms you are a cog in. I have invented war paints, ice cream, and grief. I have screwed light bulbs into the sand and dissolved heavy metals into the skin of our contract. I've tracked down sea monsters and lost purpose, and I have discovered another land of opportunity and burned the map and eaten the captain and the crew and hate fucked myself to sleep under the burned carcass of the ship. You may sail to me, but you will never reach the crisp salty shore on which I have planted my light bulb trees and pissed on your memories.
It seems cruel that they should sit outside the pledge of
Cut me in half. Gaseous bodies humming like bees, lingering in the open air, occupying small pockets of space. If you cut me in half, there will be something inside. I don't know what. I want to be made of something that can be cut open. Text, language spilling out of each split orifice. Object, have into smaller pieces of myself. Substance, made from something lost, which I can never fully remember. Place, with geographical reason, signification in space. Existent, cuttable. Someone, where the cut will hurt me. Other, unmaterialized. Present, thought of. Across 1,000 plateaus there is nothing. Presence, I can identify. Cut me in half and the blade will carry its weight into the ground, splitting each plateau into smaller segments. Smaller plateaus, 2,000 plateaus. Please do not catch me in the act of correcting myself. Please do not catch me changing the components of my abstract machine. Please do not catch me in this intimate place, singular, the erotic state of being alone. FF told YY to put themselves in a smaller container / to accept this smaller container. YY said this container is made to hold one identity, no components, singular, and placing so many of us in one place has destroyed what was here originally. Factory of machines, abstract physical, living parts who form the larger collective part. Where am I now? Right here. How should a person be? If that is what I'd like to be. I do not want to be the text. I want to be something beyond. A living entity. BV entering and then returning. Materialized. Unmaterialized. Uncertain direction, but consistent in velocity. I cannot bear to slow down, leaping, spinning. What does a text look like when it's no longer a text? Materialized. I want to exist out of context, text as itself, unmaterialized. I am unmaterialized, and it hurts. Large but not large, a different kind of large, larger. I am not. FF/NN/YY, YY/FF under the non-existent mattress, signifier, sleeping inconveniently. 4 abstract machines as they achieve something real / crawl out of the sea foam onto the shore and into the veil of the dense woods. Hidden until they learn to accumulate their surroundings, absorbing the environment, materialized, and grown to the size of cages. FF consuming every city /NN swallowing the sea water /YY collapsing mountain /BV someone text rendered into itself. Ontological, materialized, pages black and emptied. Cut me in half and there will be something inside. Pure language, rain scratch, oh, it crawls out of the mouth and turns the throat raw. 2,000 plateaus vacated of my presence. I am far away from here. You cannot see me anymore. I've allowed myself to disappear. Faux, flat, the previous body stretched thin, locked from stasis, in flux. I do not want to remain as I am for any longer than a moment. Make my presence, object, a labyrinth to be navigated, ever-changing and dishonest. What kind of large am I supposed to be? Not YY. Objects made organismally /abstract machines in the shape of living creatures, materialized. Without parents I did not come from anything. Birth / without conception or formation. There is no mother. Super subject. I am not the product of tangled subjects. I am made from objects / of objects / the assembling of many objects into a network. Materialized. The substance of my creation is the hard plastic of half-finished furniture and faux wooden flooring. I will be the space occupied by poetic beings, poetic machine, territorializing. What kind of assemblage can be made out of polished materials? The collective room that I will become, materialized. YY has turned into something unrecognizable, arrogant in their occupation of space. I do not want to consume the vast field. I want to be the field, the assembled space, large, consuming. YY is not wearing a man's suit /O cannot eat their own head /FF does not know what I look like. The shape of my head is oblong and coarse. Cut me in half. There will be 2,000 plateaus pressed against one another, coating the inner lining of my membranes. Becoming so large, 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 becoming plateau, becoming machine, becoming body, becoming birdsong, becoming direction, becoming stasis, becoming mattress, becoming thin, becoming essence, becoming material, becoming person, becoming animal, becoming gels, becoming beautiful, becoming real, becoming void, becoming screen, becoming celestial, becoming didium, becoming atmosphere, becoming ground. Becoming tide, becoming flame, becoming apostrophe, becoming strata, becoming mechanical, becoming no, becoming collection, becoming hard, becoming feather, becoming organism, becoming Javerion, becoming grok, becoming college, becoming assemblage, becoming mythopia, becoming sparring, becoming Spartan, becoming lightweight, becoming Isa, becoming Simeon, and then the old machines have finished eating.
Those are the guns that were her eyes. Oh, how I've dreamt of fucking that hole in your figment since the moment I first saw you, plunging into a chasm impenetrably deep, with half-shaped Babylonian monsters and engines of untold enormity, churning wheels within wheels, and cries of torment filling the void. Like the unconsummated despair of a psychiatry ward, you thought that was really hilarious. Your cacophonic blackbird laughter under the hedge, where you lay puking your lungs out. And there's a line from somewhere which says that where the waters slumber beneath the cliffs, you're falling asleep forever. And I find myself repeating this as thought the words contain a hidden, oh so portentous meaning. If I close my eyes, I can almost hear across 100 miles the breaking of waves and barren outbursts, the hissing of seagulls, the churning of pipelines of sewage, outlets of industrial effluent wafting to America. But the room itself is silent. I hear my own breathing. I'm the sea, the drift of the wide plains, washed up, carried, dispersed, opposite, or a world in which only impossible things exist. A missile silo full of goldfish, space shuttle exploding into tulip bouquets. Of course, there's no such thing as subjective time or space. There's only physics. Stick a knife in your mind and it bleeds. Dial up the voltage, and all you're left is with radioactive dust blowing through the streets, turning everything black and red. It's that hand tapping the window, and inside your brain, the Geiger counters have gone berserk, and I won't shut up. I couldn't bear it anymore, gripping the arms of the chair. Her legs wouldn't let her stand up. The objects in the room were staring at her with insect eyes, making insect noises. She pressed her temples between the palms of her hands. It was impossible to breathe the air thick with miasma. On the floor in front of her was a tipped-over glass bowl, and trapped inside, a tiny fish-gill homunculus with a face disturbingly like hers. Those are the guns that were her eyes. Oh, how I've dreamt of fucking that hole in your figment since the moment I first saw you, plunging into a chasm impenetrably deep, with half-shaped Babylonian monsters and engines of untold enormity, churning wheels within wheels, and cries of torment filling the void. Like the unconsummated despair of a psychiatry ward, you thought that was really hilarious. Your cacophonic blackbird laughter under the hedge, where you lay puking your lungs out. And there's a line from somewhere which says that where the waters slumber beneath the cliffs, you're falling asleep forever. And I find myself repeating this as thought the words contain a hidden oh so portentous meaning. If I close my eyes, I can almost hear across 100 miles the breaking of waves and barren outbursts, the hissing of cigarettes, the churning of pipelines of sewage, outlets of industrial effluent wafting to America. But the room itself is silent. I hear my own breathing. I'm the sea, the drift of the wide blank sea, washed up, carried, dispersed, opposite, or a world in which only impossible things exist. A missile silo full of goldfish, space shuttle exploding into tulip bouquets. Of course, there's no such thing as subjective time or space. There's only physics. Stick a knife in your mind and it bleeds. Dial up the voltage, and all you're left is with radioactive dust blowing through the streets, turning everything black and red. It's that hand tapping the window, and inside your brain, the Geiger counters have gone berserk. And I won't shut up. I couldn't bear it anymore, gripping the arms of the chair. Her legs wouldn't let her stand up. The objects in the room were staring at her with insect eyes, making insect noises. She pressed her temples between the palms of her hands. It was impossible to breathe the air thick with miasma. On the floor in front of her was a tipped-over glass bowl, and trapped inside, a tiny fish-gill homunculus with a face disturbingly like hers.
Chapter 37. I'd got the bird's eye view images down pat. I knew the canals were probably the only unchanging route into the heart. Canals cut diagonally southeast to northwest, meeting the main Black Canal. Centre of town, one of the centres of town, was an island in the hairpin shape of a pig's snout. I turned up the colour of my coat and watched my breath blow into the night. Watch the lights play on the mosaic of trash on the canal. Lights from the pub and casino neon, red, yellow and green, shimmering flag of some mirage country. Ducks wading with 1 foot trailing, seagulls squabbling over pecking order, Canada geese rasping anchovy tongues, crows cawing in the sycamores, maples and planes. Each side of the canal, rising a couple hundred metres up the steep sides of the ravine, where two citadels faced each other. Night lights fanned inverted triangles of light up their sheer grey walls. They looked cubist, trompe-l'oeil, film set flats slotted like lift doors. One was a mirror image of its twin, with kilometres of zigzag ramps up the inclines. Inside the citadels were a hark back to the times before the war here was privatised, mercenaries only. The hills were networks of miles of whitewashed corridors, lit from the outside by musket and crossbow slits and slats. Armies lived here and died in dead and bayonet battles, typhoid and dysentery outbreaks and old age. Food pulleyed in to these huge barrels for the defenders now used as transport tourists. Guided tours of the citadels lasted 1 hour or several days, all variations on a theme, tall tales of corridor skirmishes and the kind of interactive daring-do which was the hallmark of the besieged. All from the halcyon days when all countries could choose to go to war before war privatisation of the noughties. Campsite and hostel in an Arlington-sized Woodcross cemetery. For a few credits more, you could experience a rare old punishment of the locals, who were tied in twos like Knights Templar and thrown into the canal, idea adapted for bungee dips. The favourite for honeymooners, taking naked nocturnal swims, bound in the 69 sucking cock and flickering cunnilingus as they dived. Base jumpers aiming to ejaculate on Diwali, Guy Fawkes, or anniversary firework nights. Other options were human Catherine wheels and pirate ships that rocked between the citadels and over the black water. Tours took so long as guides give expanded explanation in several languages, including Sign, Mandarin, Arabic and Mime. Reenactments daily, realistic and gory enough to capture the attention of younger members of the group. Sent around the sites in gaudy roller coaster cars. See Professor Steinfeld's treatments. I felt the toxicity of the whiskies I ordered up at the cradle. Ticker tape heart and amphetamine rush felt on the perimeter of a coronary. Think of my old mate, Sheikh Castanet, who fell down dead after describing feeling a bed of nails springing up against his breast, partly due to coke cuts sniffed through the white Chinaman's cane decorated as beachfront candy, a funky walking stick that could be used as a support, snorkel, or rudimentary saxophone. Shake, rattle and roll for all the price of a wrap of meth. Decks of the citadels were like microscope slides, sliding out across the canal from giant pagodas in the shape of spinal columns, accessed through pneumatic water capsules. As one went up, another went down, like some thermometer dialectic. Capsules travelled up and down the grey-pink tones of Scalanus, Ancticus and Medius, open like curtains to reveal the vertebrae floors. Penthouse bars were available exclusively for private functions, called the Atlas Suites. Waitresses in bunny dresses, purple basques, or velveteen hipsters played simple-minded and forgetful, so tables over-ordered and tipped well for drinks cut with wormwood. All clientele were breathalyzed for alcohol and drug levels and directed accordingly to appropriate bars. Drinks were served inversely proportional to level found. Heavy drinkers were sold low-alcohol, mass-marketed beers, and they said DNA swabs alerted owners to outstanding arrest warrants, where they were sent straight to bars serving drinks imprinted on the psyche as wife-beaters, date rapers, or taurine amphetamine cocktails, and directed exits where plainclothes men baited them into antisocial GBH or ABH encounters, and Black Mariah them to interrogation cells. Most of the drinks were nothing but fruit juice, with glass rims rinsed with alcohol. Outside of the vertebrate vestibules, slouching informers and panhandlers in cap-sleeve t-shirts bore pump biceps tattooed with martial arts weapons. Women dressed in loose organic dresses and wraps, diamante hair slides and necklaces of teeth human, canine and equine, with babies or toddlers sluggish from drugged breast milk and tranquilizer-laced milks. Guests here were lodged in reconstructed jail cells, 2 to a bed in metal bunks. I paid for the experience the way celebrity historical inmates spent a night or more. Striped pajamas and prison jackets, 10-foot square cells open onto corridors were hotel style dressed like capos and SS men and women, punctuating their discipline with Koch-designed mobile phones. Maids in bondage gear offered their services in laundry rooms and basement parking facilities, fucking in the backs of military lorries, or strapping dildos, fuck potty businessmen jerking off to Tahitian porn films. Maids also fucked heroin suppositories called enablers and coup dépendant out troublesome clients' arseholes and blackmail them for cash. I followed my nose, cut through the lobby of this Holiday Inn 25. It was a clear night with enough stars visible through the orange haze of the night, so I pushed the elevator button for one of the Atlas suites. A revolving glass restaurant promised a fusion menu: salmon bisque with mint chocolate, fried beetroot and peanut butter, sausages kind of fare. Just my goddamn luck, I thought as I watched a party in full swing. Seems like the whole Diamond District had upped stakes. It was Purim, the one day in the year the Orthodox get totally hammered and allow themselves the aftershock of hangover. The fine upstanding seemed fine upstanding, so there was a pre-distressed leather couch by one of the glass panels. With its simulacrum the other side of the black cut, the place had all the majesty of a punch in the face. Morsels still lingered in the 9 nasal passages. I waited on service, chancing a mojito, so I looked over at Pont Neuf, which gave me the quarter to its name. Pont Neuf straddled the valley like one giant insect. It was a 3-in-1, carried most of the east-west traffic in and out of the city on the dual carriageway, ran hollow for the Red Line metro, and due to its height, performed the function and assumes the nomenclature of the USDM Suicide Bridge all along its half-kilometre span. The waiter brought me my mojito, which had more foliage inside than an arboretum drain. My smile was more of a twitch. After sucking some of the drink, I picked up one of the magazines, which had an odd take on the tourist trade. Mind you, in the damn compatible world of quick and easy breaks, you flaunted what you had. And Pont Neuf had, well, Pont Neuf. One eye on the outside, neon wash, I picked up the local rag, the Pont Neuf Times.
Rabble-branded. Sub-proles on the gun carriage, by turns stuffing the outre carcass, blue-rinsed, thatch-headed, the crime tantamount to the punishment, the state's funeral punctilious, tempestuous relays sullying the mop spit, What's integral? Austerities, ostentations, and rigmaroles, the blancmange nevertheless taken at face value. Let the dead tax the dead. Ni gauche, ni droite, ni Dieu, miss them bunny bags, forking a stolid country gent where it counts for history. Coal, not dole. Big Ben tolls mutely the hour, no man knoweth, nor woman neither, tolls, and then again tolls, making a premium of it. Or misty tear gas-eyed testament to free speechifying as 1,000 moons rise over the barriers, ululating. Every bum loves a fascist in apron strings, stirring the endemic soul search in the rehearsal room, zapped, scintillating and blank, worldwide on noodle cam. Oh, how she was glam. Athletic autogynephilia sends Rose Ball wild. Heavy on the curveball, winding up for a forearm slog, Virgil Thompson gone for a homer. Rescind everything. You call that music? The fat lady's prescription tablets going under the hammer for a song? Sweet Americana. Her schoolgirl higgly-piggledy letters, no return address. History or lapsus memoriae when it suits you. Fastidious over the continental breakfast, rigid as lampoons and festoons, butter wouldn't melt. Cultivating toe fungus as a matter of prestige, the fetish artist in you regulating all visible points of contact. Today, I wandered lonely as a power station. Cooling stacks reminded you of missed bedtime opportunities, a mother's feet set in concrete. Oh, how you loved her when she died. Plinth and marble bustier, tempting just to lie down with the weight of her between your girlish thighs, massive or massif, the blossoming rose, the vertiginous escarpment, contesting a birthright, listening for the sound of wolves in the night. To end, pity was trending. Measured by similes gone for a Snowden, fake out and counterfake, gender extradite. You win the prize. Man from Hong Kong can screw with the best of them. Call it conspiracy, Saint Prosthesis, the holy dead crew. Jesus was a hack. The temple? Scaffold a net job. They got loan sharks in heaven too, baby. Shit rises, Huey Newton's law. Count the money, lights out on the factory floor, which means are the means of production. Screwed into the light, got the right idea only in the wrong side of your brain. Luck won't last, try to save it, goes moldy, fucks the works, clogs the back entry. Read the instructions first, you idiot. Positronic or beatbox scenarios counteract packing case. So lifelike, so pliant, unwrap, inflate, plug and play, strictly no refunds. Thank you.
Přečtu krátkou ukázku z knihy umělce a spisovatele Aleše Čermáka Return Self New, která byla publikována v českém jazyce na konci roku 2019. Nyní vychází její anglická verze, kterou vydává Alienist Series. Jméno Císař Jio Jing 10. Máte před sebou bezduchou část osobnosti, s tělem, které je stále více a více zbavováno duše. S tělem, jehož rozpad není vnímán vůbec nebo je považován za něco, co se děje někomu jinému a co člověk sleduje zvenčí. Přehnaná poslušnost je možná upřímný strach z touhy zabíjet. Co je prvotní? Agresivita nebo regrese k sebezničení? Část ega se musí uchránit před sebezničením a to vyžaduje poslušnost. Rozum znamená vhled do nutnosti podřídit se, zabít nebo být zabit. Jednou nití provlečeno vše. Obloha vám může kdykoliv spadnout na hlavu. Jsme totiž zcela rozpojené bytosti, které umírají odděleně v nepochopitelném dobrodružství. V bodě varu. V bodě, v němž vědomí přestane být vědomím něčeho. Nějaká elementární bytost v celku, jenž je v sázce při přechodu od diskontinuity ke kontinuitě. A ten bezejmenný nepokoj, který je s ním spjat, napíná orgány až k prasknutí. Dehydrovaná těla dodávala ohni onen zvláštní namodralý nádech. Proti sobě stojí dvě hloubky. Vyhloubená hloubka, v níž se převracejí a explodují kusy. Plná hloubka, obsahující dvě směsi, z tvrdých a pevných fragmentů. Tato směs je proměnlivá. Bez částí a proměn. Tato směs je tekutá, plynulá a dokonalá a má schopnost spojovat a slévat. Všechny kosti v bloku krve. Jednou děsivé, jindy užitečné, podobně jako nástroje. Shrnutí. Vše se odehrává v hloubce, pod oblastí smyslu, mezi dvěma nesmysly čistého hluku. Dějiny hloubky začínají naprostou hrůzou. V hloubce je možné hledat chybějící článek mezi strukturou a funkcí. Poznámka. Bylo by zajímavé vysledovat dějiny, v nich se osvobozují zvuky. Zvířata vyčkávají v propasti času. Vzájemná výměna nikdy neustává. Nesmrtelní jsou smrtelní a smrtelní jsou nesmrtelní. Stačí se trochu víc rozptýlit a hned dokážeme žít na povrchu. Napnout kůži a v tu chvíli začíná něco opravdu velkého. Skrze cirkulace, skrze ozvěny a události. V nichž je víc smyslu a skutečnosti, než by si byl schopen člověk vysnít. Vypustit do oběhu prázdné místo. Poslední mráček vypařující se reality. Poslední mráček jako experiment, jako usnadnění života. Jako přechod. Se vší vážností usilujeme o to hledět do světa s co možná největším počtem očí. The Hemianopic Monkeys Lennox and Dracula. Poslední nejtenčí, prázdný. Virtuální lidské tělo. Zleva doprava, zhora dolů. Každé tělo má svůj původ v dětství. Tělo dozrává a poté v průběhu času stárne a nakonec umírá. OBE and NDE. Účastníci experimentu používají alternativní těla. Ta byla navržena tak, aby byla sexuálně neutrální a obecně přitažlivá. Tato těla připomínají postavy z filmu Avatar. Revize života rovná se prohlídka života. Tunel vedoucí k bílému světlu. Následuje pozorování virtuálního světa na externí obrazovce. Každý z účastníků experimentu prožil setkání na krásném ostrově společně se 2 společníky. Společně prozkoumávali ostrov a společně prováděli zadané úkoly. Jejich virtuální těla se v průběhu času měnila. 16 účastnic prožilo 6 setkání. Jejich virtuální těla se vyvíjela. Nejprve byla dětská, dospívala, pak zralá, nakonec těla zestárla a zemřela. Někde v realitě se nacházela skupina 16 osob. Ti vyčkávali na návrat 16 účastníků, kteří se zrovna nacházeli někde na ostrově. Mechanismus stvárnění vytváří silné iluze. Ti, co zažili ostrov, oznámili změnu postoje k životu. Vtiskávání přichází až po pomalém prosakování a přináší sebou radikální transformaci mysli. Nevratné rozhodnutí k proměně nebo zániku. Už žádné lidské úsudky. Nikdo nemá žádný zájem na opakované exhumaci mrtvoly. Člověk je ze své limitované pozice pouze setinou sekundy, neměnnou, ale mutující bytostí. Jedním zrnkem uvnitř prstence. Lidský produkt bezcenných myšlenek, nepřítel mnoha hvězd, ku podivu neplánovaně zastarává. Zánik podle nutnosti, bezpráví podle řádu času. Tmavá hmota zakryla slunce, studený vítr fouká prázdným prostorem. Falešné analogie kruhového pohybu uvnitř prstence. Stíny pokryly horizont, morbidní očekávání apokalypsy. Rozmazané stíny po stěnách jeskyně. Geometrie a časové rozvržení konce světa. Geograficky nekonečné, éterické domény za hranicí země. Nevolnost, jež vyžaduje, aby se žaludek přirozeně roztáhl, v ideálním případě tak, aby vyvolal pocit, že se má nemoc ještě kam rozšiřovat. Pulzující chaos, nepochopitelný magnetismus, to, co je možné nazývat různými podobami křiku. A nejjemnější je ten křik, který vychází z jemnosti morku. To, čemu já říkám tělo. Okultní trajektorie ducha těla. Otřesy ve své substanci obsahují něco z ušlechtilého. Kdo říká pocit, říká předtucha. To znamená přímé poznání, obrácenou komunikaci, osvětlenou zevnitř.
Hello everyone. My name is Roxanne. I'm a piano player, songwriter, and an improviser. I'm from Turkey. I prepared 3 original songs for you today, and then I'm going to do a little improvisation at the end. The first song I'm going to play is in Turkish, and the second one is also in Turkish, and the last one will be in English. So this first one is called Kaç kere, which means how many times. I hope you enjoy it, but before I start, I want to take a second to say that I'm very happy to be a part of the Prague Micro Festival, and I want to thank everybody who is behind this organization and who were very dedicated in putting this thing together, even though there's so many times it was cancelled since May, and somehow we got everyone from all over the world in this. And right now I'm in Istanbul, but I'm hoping to be back in Prague once this lockdown is over, and I'm sending love to everybody. So let's start. Hope you guys like it. So, barışmak kolay değil. Sen önce bir kendine bak, sonra konuşuruz. Söylenecek şey miydi ayrıldıktan sonra? Ne gerek vardı sanki yeniden kırmaya? Kaç kere söylemem gerekirdi hiçbir şekilde değiştiremezdim kendimi. Bu son defa bir daha anlatmayacağım sana. Artık bırak beni, değişemem asla. Hayat macera dolu. Bir gün varsın, bir gün yoksun. Yaşadığımız serüvenin hiçbir yerinde yoktun. Yapılacak şey miydi ayrıldıktan sonra? Ne gerek vardı sanki kalbimi yeniden kırmaya? Kaç kere söylemem gerekirdi hiçbir şekilde değiştiremezdim kendimi. Bu son defa bir daha anlatmayacağım sana. Artık bırak beni, değişemem asla. Kaç kere söylemem gerekirdi hiçbir şekilde değiştiremezdim kendimi. Bu son defa bir daha anlatmayacağım sana. Artık bırak beni, değişemem asla. another Turkish song now, and then I'm gonna sing another song, which is my recent song. But so this song is called Haftalar Oldu. I also have a video with this song on YouTube, so if you guys would like to check that out, you can look at Sandwich Sessions. So yes. Let's do it. Kendimde değildim sana söylediğim zaman. Kafam çok güzeldi, bak neler anlattım. Hiç doğru muydu anlattığın masallar? Hiç sevdin mi beni, yoksa oyun muydu hepsi? Haftalar oldu seni görmeyeli. Nereden bilebilirdim bu kadar özleyeceğimi? Sesini duymak, senle konuşmak ne kadar uzak kaldı. Bir gün karşıma çıkarsan eğer, kendini bana bırakır mısın hemen? Bu sabah erken uyandım, aklımda yine sen. Oturdum şarkı yazdım, eğer duyarsan gel. Haftalar oldu seni görmeyeli. Nereden bilebilirdim bu kadar özleyeceğimi? Sesini duymak, senle konuşmak ne kadar uzak kaldı. Haftalar oldu seni görmeyeli. Nereden bilebilirdim bu kadar özleyeceğimi? Sesini duymak, senle konuşmak ne kadar uzak kaldı. Yeah, so that was the second song I have for you guys. And now I have one more song for you. And that one is going to be in English, so you can understand. Okay. This one is called Lights of the City, and I think it's actually my favorite song that I ever written. I'm really excited to be sharing this song. people everywhere, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to rush this without getting to know you closer. I wish we could have spent one more night. Now, every day I'm looking for you in the places I wanted to go with you. Tell me, do you feel the same way? Like wanna be around me each day? Well, make it happen someday. So come back to meet me at the coffee shop around the corner. Let's make some plans to get lost in the lights of the city, and I'm sure we can find our way. And come back to see the places I will show you every day. I promise to be the best date you'll ever have. Now book your ticket soon. You could come back this afternoon. I'll be waiting for you. When I met you, I had no clue at all that I'd be torn from you in a time so small. The pictures I had in my mind got somehow roughly left behind. Let me talk about the dreams I have. We'll take the pink bikes and go down the river, watch the sunset as we eat a dinner. Let's go up to the castle or get drunk on the steps of the chapel. There's so much we can do in town. Oh, oh. So come back to meet me at the coffee shop around the corner. Let's make some plans to get lost in the lights of the city, and I'm sure we can find our way. And come back to see the places I will show you every day. I promise to be the best date you'll ever have. Now book your ticket soon. You could come back this afternoon. I'll be waiting for you. That was a song called The Lights of the City. And now, for the last part, I'd like to do a little bit of improvisation. And I want to talk a little bit. I prepared this kind of loop thing to improvise over. I really miss playing with other people, but right now it's not possible, and I love improvising. So I kind of prepared this loop, and I just learned this program yesterday, so please bear with me. I don't know how it's gonna work, or if it's gonna work. But yeah, I took this idea, well, the things I'm gonna play, I took the idea from a keyboard player named Anomaly, and he's an excellent keyboard player and beat maker. If you don't know him, you should check him out. And so I played everything alone, but the ideas are from one of his songs. So yeah, let's start. So this is all I had for today. I want to say thank you again for everyone who were involved in this project or this show, this festival. I'm really happy that I was a part of it as well. I'm really looking forward to the time when we can finally be together, perform together, and just, be around each other in person. Until that time, I am sending love. Bye!
Dobrý večer.
Good evening.
Toť vše. Jak praví klasik, bylo to krásné a bylo toho dost. Pražský mikrofestival 2020, 12. ročník přehlídky umělecké tvorby a festivalu psaní, výtvarného umění, videa a živých vystoupení tímto končí. Dovolte nám shrnout, čeho všeho jsme za uplynulé 3 večery byli svědky a ještě jednou poděkovat všem, bez jejichž práce a pomoci by se to nezdařilo.
That's all, folks. Prague Micro Festival 2020, the 12th edition of the Festival of the Arts, a festival of writing, art, performances and video is hereby over. Let us by way of goodbye sum up what we witnessed over the last 3 evenings and thank one more time to all without whose work and help this would not have come to pass.
V hlavním programu jsme si vychutnali texty a videa čtení 13 autorů z plné desítky různých zemí světa. Děkujeme tímto jim všem. Jmenovitě jsou to Enis Maci, Kira Pietrek, Artis Ostups, Sheila Mannix a Dragana Mokan, kteří četli v pátek, Paul Hawkins, Sarah Scott-Thorne, John Treffry a Richard Makin, kteří četli v sobotu, a konečně Natasha Velikonia, Johnny Pulp, Nina Dragicevič a Herman Sierra, které jsme slyšeli dnes.
The main program of this year PMF has featured 13 readings of authors from over 10 countries who have kindly sent us their text and pre-recorded readings. Our thanks go to them all, namely Kira Pietrek, Enis Maci, Artis Ostups, Sheila Mannix and Dragana Mokan, who have read on Friday, Paul Hawkins, Sarah Scott-Thorne, John Treffry and Richard Makin, reading on Saturday, and finally, Natasha Velikonia, Johnny Pope, Nina Dragicevic and Herman Sierra, who have read today.
Po čteních následovala hudba a umění, včetně vystoupení taneční skupiny Noir, performativní přednášky skupiny Ado Aptiv a vystoupení performerů Tycho Sai, Orkida Brakula a Valena Sandoval a Loretta Lau, stejně jako hudební sety Autopoetika a Ellie Anders, jakož i zpěvačky Roxanne.
The readings were followed by music and art, including performances by Noir Group, Ado Aptiv Group, Tycho Sai, Orkida Brakula and Velena Sandoval and Loretta Lau, as well as music gigs by Autopoetic and Ellie Anders and Roxanne.
To není vše. V rámci PMF 2020 se také konalo kolokvium na téma krize a SOS, na kterém jsme vyslechli debatu zahraničních hostů Bogna Konior, Mark Horváth, Adam Lovas a Robin McKay z teoretiky místní pražské scény. Kolokvium druhý den doplnila panelová debata o současných malých nakladatelstvích, na níž vystoupily takové výrazné osobnosti současného anglofonního vydavatelství, jako Andrew Wilt, Manuel Marrero, Sarah Scott-Thorne a Simon Hutchinson.
There was more. Part of PMF 2020 was a colloquium on the subject of May Day, featuring some very special guests from abroad, Bogna Konior, Mark Horvath, Adam Lovas, and Robin McKay, in a conversation with the local theoretical scene. This was followed by a roundtable on contemporary small presses and radical publishing on Saturday, featuring such important independent publishers as Andre Wild, Manuel Marrero, Sarah Scott-Thorne and Simon Hutchinson.
To stále nebylo vše. Dnes jsme si vychutnali promítání krátkých filmů z dílny umělců Dustina Breitlinga, Michaela Rowlanda a Joe Blin po kterých následovala řada knižních videokřtů, na kterých Pražský mikrofestival slavnostně uvedl nové knihy Louise Armanda, Phila O'Neilla, Aleše Čermáka a Johnnyho Palpa. Toto vše, jak sami, myslím, uznáte, překonalo veškeré hranice mikro.
There was even more. Today we have enjoyed a short film screening segment featuring the work of Dustin Breitling, Michael Rowland and Joe Blin, followed by a series of PMF book launch video presentations, which saw the launches of new books by Louis Armand, Phil O'Neill, Alex Chermak and Johnny Pope. Nothing micro about any of this, you would agree.
Závěrem se tedy sluší poděkovat všem, bez jejichž pomoci by letošní mikrofestival nemohl být takto makro. Nic z toho, co jsme právě uvedli, by nebylo možné bez tvůrce nových webových stránek PMF, pana Lloyda Dana, a bez technického zabezpečení celé akce, jmenovitě našich drahých milých techniků Tomáše Mládka a Pavla Osvalda. Děkujeme též přátelům v komunitním centru Punktum, kteří na zdar letošního ročníku dohlíželi zpovzdálí. Už se nemůžeme dočkat, až se zase uvidíme naživo.
In conclusion, we would like to thank all those without whose help and support this year PMF could not be this macro. None of what we arranged would be possible without the creator of our new website, Mr. Lloyd Dunn, and our fabulous tech support, Tomáš Mládek and Pavel Oswald. Our thanks also go to our friends at the Punktum Community Center, who have been overseeing the success of PMF from afar. We cannot wait to see you guys live.
Náš velký dík patří celému organizačnímu výboru, tedy našim přátelům a kolegům Louise Armandovi, Vítu Bohalovi, Jeffreymu Howovi, Duně Ilič, Narmin Ismijevě, Lence Malé, Samíře Mekives a Tomáši Veselému za profesionální, i když občas partizánskou práci.
Let us one more time thank the organization team who have worked tirelessly on making it possible for the following 3 evenings to take place, namely Louis Armand, Vít Bohal, Jeffrey Howe, Dunya Ilic, Narmin Ismijeva, Lenka Mala, Samira Mikibes and Tomáš Veseli.
Nakonec poděkujeme těm nejdůležitějším, tedy za velkorysou podporu našich sponzorů a partnerů. Jsou jimi Ministerstvo kultury České republiky, Magistrát hlavního města Praha, Versopolis, Organizace Lotyšská literatura, Slovinský knižní klub, Velvyslanectví Irské republiky v Praze a Filozofická fakulta Univerzity Karlovy. Také bychom tímto rádi poděkovali našim mediálním partnerům, časopisům A2 a Tvar, jakož i Českému rozhlasu Vltava. Všem moc děkujeme.
Last but not least, the biggest thanks go to those generously supporting us, our sponsors and partners, the Czech Ministry of Culture, Prague Municipality Grant, Versopolis, the Slovene Writers Association, the Slovenian Book Agency, the Organization of Latvian Literature, the Irish Embassy in Prague, and the Faculty of Arts at Charles University. PMF also wishes to thank our media partners, A2, Tvar, and the Czech Radio Vltava. Thank you all so much.
A dlouhou šňůru díků uzavíráme poděkováním vám, divákům a fanouškům PMF. Bez jejichž přízně a zájmu by nic z těchto 3 dní nemělo smysl. Zachovejte nám prosím obojí. PMF 2020 tímto úplně nekončí. Po zbytek roku budeme zpracovávat videa a vylepšovat webový archiv tak, aby letošní ročník mohl dál žít svým životem. Dneškem také začínají redakční práce na antologii PMF 2020, toho nejlepšího z textů, které na festivalu zazněly. Antologie vyjde do konce tohoto roku.
The long list of thank yous needs to conclude on a note of gratitude to you, fans and viewers of PMF, without whose interest none of the past 3 days would make any sense at all. Keep up the good work, as will PMF 2020, which is not quite done yet. For the rest of the year, we will keep processing the videos and improving our website so that this year's editions can continue living its life. Starting today, is the editorial work of the PMF 2020 anthology of the best of the text read at the festival. The anthology will see the light of day by the end of this year.
PMF 2020 je mrtvo. Ať žije PMF 2021. Nashledanou na šťastném 13. PMF v příštím roce. Snad už blíže a lépe než přes počítačovou obrazovku, ale naživo a tady v Praze.
PMF 2020 is dead. Long live PMF 2021. See you all at its lucky 14th edition in 2021. Hopefully closer and better than via computer screen, but live here in Prague.
Nashledanou.